So good to see so many of you. I'm Alice Plunkett. I normally am here chatting about Cheltenham. We had a fantastic Cheltenham preview night here, and we thought let's roll it on and preview the next biggest equestrian sporting event and talk about badminton. So Jade, thank you so much for having us all here.
Oh, thank you for coming.
It's just brilliant to be able to count down, and with two really huge stars of the sport. Olympic gold medalist Laura Collett joins us. Hi, Laura.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
And two times badminton winner William Fox Pitt.
Hello.
Well, it's a massive year for badminton this year because it's 75 years of this iconic event. And when we look back over the history of this, it was first run in 1949. 1948 was the Olympics in England, and that was the influence and the inspiration to have what they described as the most important horse event in the country. And we can all agree that it has certainly grown into that over the last 75 years. Badminton is iconic in so many ways in terms of, and we'll discuss this more, in terms of the challenge, in terms of its history, in terms of its location, in terms of its Britishness, and of course, in terms of its shopping. And a lot of people go just for the shopping. We all go there for the competition, and we'll be talking about all things shopping and horses and badminton this evening. And after we finish tonight, then do please come up if you want selfies or signatures or anything with our two stars, then please do come up after we finish chatting. We won't be doing questions though, so do come and see the guys. So 75 years of badminton. I think we're going to start with a fact that we discovered, Jade, when we were chatting beforehand, which was that William first rode at badminton in 1989. Laura Collett was born in 1989. So we've got two ends of the spectrum. William, let's think back to 1989 and to your first badminton. Obviously, you're a family that's been steeped in equestrianism. Your mum rode at badminton herself, is one of the founder members. But badminton in 1989, talk us through it.
It was very simply in my younger years. It was just the next stage. I'd done a 2-star and I'd done a 3-star and I'd done juniors, I'd done young riders, so it was badminton next, and that's where my mother entered me and that's where I was going.
You rode a horse called Steadfast who'd taken you through Pony Club, and he was your kind of, and I think we'll say, Laura, we'll talk about your great horse who took you in the same way, but he took you from being a kid to being a man, really, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He took me through juniors. I guess I got him when I was 15. I rode him at Junior Europeans, Rotherfield Park in 1985.
1927.
So that was at juniors, and he took me all the way through. He did 3 years of young rider teams, and then he'd done his 3 years. And in those days, young riders was 3-star, and
4-star now.
Badminton was 4-star.
Yep.
So we'd done 3-stars, and my mother thought, well, why do you want to do another one? You might as well get on and do what you should do. So we went to badminton, and I can remember walking the steeplechase with Jill Watson, who was our team trainer, and I can remember saying, now, Steadfast, he might be a bit down the clock, and you've got to totally be relaxed. But, you could easily get a few time faults today. It's the first time he's been for 4.5 minutes. It's the first time he's been 690 metres a minute for 4.5 minutes, and he is half a cart horse, so you just might be a bit slow, because obviously in young riders, he could go for the slightly slower time and slightly shorter distance.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, my mother was saying, you're on the minute marker here, and you're inside the line there, and you're going to finish on... Anyway, he did do the time on the steeplechase, which is a miracle to everyone, but certainly on the cross country he didn't. But he got round. He jumped all the jumps.
And a very different badminton then, because of course now we've changed to short format. You all look like an extremely knowledgeable crowd, so I don't need to start spelling out, telling my granny how to suck eggs. But in those days, you were doing roads and tracks, steeplechase, roads and tracks, 10-minute box, then badminton, the cross country. Very, very different. And of course, you're lanky and long, 6'6". Your mum was very worried that that was going to take a toll on your horse. So how far did you actually have to run next to your horse?
I had to run. I was always made to run on face C, so I had to get off after steeplechase to let the horse recover, obviously. and then we used to fight about when was I was allowed to get back on. But in the end, I got it down to 1 kilometre of running. But it took a few years. But badminton in the old days, phase C was the whole way down the long walk and back. I mean, it was
a long way.
It was 46 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that.
Laurie,
it was all spanking trot, and that was poor Steadfast.
it's very different, Laura, for you. You clearly, I mean, you two, when you look at champions, what makes a champion? We always say that when we're looking at horses. When you look at riders, what makes a champion? A 6'6", lanky, or a little tiny pint-sized champ? Pint-sized champ, what's your memories of your first badminton and the horse that took you there?
So the horse that took me there was Ray F. He was again my junior horse. He was my first horse off ponies. He'd done 1 junior Europeans and a young rider Europeans, and then a little bit the same. For some reason, thought it was a good idea to go to badminton very naively. Looking back on it now, I would never consider taking him. He was very, very foreign. Definitely should not have gone to badminton, but bless his heart, we had a partnership, and he just kept on digging and went round and managed to finish clear. We had some time penalties, but I was over the moon and finished 8th at our first badminton, and thought, step up to seniors in my first year. It's quite straightforward, quite easy. Badminton's quite easy. It turns out it's not.
I mean, you had the most extraordinary, you've had an extraordinary career, but your youth career is legendary in terms of medals at ponies, juniors, young riders. But where did badminton and doing that first badminton sit when you were doing all of that and you were getting all the bling and you were winning everywhere? What sort of challenge did badminton present after all that success?
There was huge kind of expectations, really, because I'd had a very lucky time in ponies, juniors and young riders, and everything just sort of seemed to happen. I'd start a year and plan to try and win an individual medal at a European Championships, and somehow managed to pull it off, and thought, well, this year the plan is to go to badminton, and somehow that managed to come off. And then it was only really after that when I realised it wasn't as easy and as straightforward as just starting a year with a plan and the plan coming off, and actually it took a long time to get back, even just to get back to badminton, let alone get a top 10. I think it took from 2011 to 2022 to get
so
back
11 years to get back there.
To get back to vaguely just being successful at badminton. But it's always been, growing up, it's the one event. Everyone said to me, through ponies, juniors and young riders, the year that you get to go to badminton, it's like no other event, from arriving, walking into the stable yard, walking down to the arena. It just has a completely different feel to it, and it really does. Even now, I don't know what it's like for you, but for me it's still, you drive in and you walk in the stable yard and you get,
it's that thing,
tingly.
isn't it, of walking. It was really funny. We've got Will coaches this wonderful Japanese rider called Kazuma Tomoto, and he got the opportunity to go to badminton, and I rang him and I was like, how's it all going? And he said, I feel like I'm a tourist, and I feel like I'm like one of my fellow countrymen who goes to look at Buckingham Palace, but I'm looking at badminton. I've just come through the stables and I feel like I'm a Japanese tourist. I'm like, no, back in the room, mate, back in the room. No, you're not a tourist, you're competing. And that is quite a thing, William, isn't it? When you walk through that archway into the park, it's the people that can actually just be there and be a competitor and actually get past the enormity of the B word.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing, but you're right. Arriving at badminton is definitely different, and I know it's got history and it's got so much more weight in our sport than many other events. But it's still, there are other 5-star events, but this is badminton. It's just not the same as arriving at Burghley or Le Moulin. It's you get to badminton. I can remember my first drive to badminton. It's just unlike any other event. You just thought, oh my God, I'm actually going to badminton. I mean, is this really happening? You have to pinch yourself, and even now, and I've been a few times, it's still
Just a few.
exciting to drive in. You just think, oh my God, I'm here. Wow.
But Laura's talk about, having that initial success with that young rider horse, similar profile to you. We were going through it today. You've ridden 16 horses, different horses at Badminton. You've had 25 completions. You've ridden in over 100 5-stars. But
makes me sound very old.
well, you are quite old, aren't you? I mean, so don't
No,
worry.
I'm quite old. I'm not
I
very
mean,
old.
56 is quite old. But you've won more 5-stars than anyone else, and 2 of them have been at Badminton. But it wasn't all plain sailing, was it? When we look at Steady winning, and then Charker being in the lead and failing the last vet's inspection when in the lead. There's been some going head first into the Vicarage V on Stunning. I mean, I don't want to really drag it out, but there's
been a few dramas.
There's been a few dramas.
Funny enough, more at Badminton than anywhere else. But I guess that's maybe because you're trying too hard. I don't know. Maybe you've taken a horse that wasn't quite there because you just thought it was Badminton. You've got to give it a go. I think we're always guilty of that. Well, sometimes guilty of that. Because it is the most exciting thing for the rider and sponsors to have a horse there, and the sponsors as well. We want to be seen when you're young and keen. You want to be seen at Badminton, and then you quietly realise that you actually don't. But it's very, very unknown. That's why Badminton is exciting. Is you just do not know what is going to happen. Funny things do happen there. Funny people win. Funny people lose. It's last year, obviously, Ros won by a million miles, and that wasn't so funny. But other times, there are people that win, and it's a big surprise, and they pull it out of the bag, and it all came together on the day for them. But other people have plenty of cock-ups on the way.
Yeah. And, of course, we talk about Badminton in terms of the horses, but in terms of style and shopping, it is like no other equestrian event, is it, Jade? I mean, it's a sort of, you must be there.
I think, as you say, Badminton has that magic to it where you go, and I remember, when I went when I was really little, and it was, you're looking up to the riders like Will when I was younger, and there is a magic to it. And I think now, even over the time that I've been going with the trade stand, the evolution of people thinking about what they're going to wear, not weeks in advance, months in advance, and it's become a synergy with what am I going to wear, and the event, and the horses, and the riders, and all of that magic, I think, has come together, which is amazing.
And for you, it was pretty much where this extraordinary global brand started, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're 15 years this year, and 15 years ago we were reminiscing actually about, when we first went to Badminton, but I was stood in a tiny little 2-metre stand in the Rural Craft tent, and thinking, God, I hope this bloody works, because I've left uni now and that's it, so I've got to make it work. But, to let a customer in, we had to walk out of the stand because there wasn't room for, me and my friend and a customer to be on the stand, so it would be like, right, get out, because we've got to get a customer in. And the evolution of that has been amazing, and to see,
that's an understatement.
Well, it's so amazing to see the journey, and I think the trade stands and events like Badminton are a moment where you reflect on where you were and where you've come. And we were talking about our journey over the years at Badminton, and it's been great to see that.
But your journey now, I mean, it's wonderful the way you're supporting your grassroots, because you really support the events where your footfall, I mean, obviously, is huge. So Cheltenham being the clothing partner at the Cheltenham Festival is a big moment for the Cheltenham Festival and a big moment for the brand. But also for you, I think sponsoring the Vicarage V for me is so perfect. I was going through the course with William on the way up, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Jade's only
I love that one.
She's only got the Vicarage V. I mean, you smash it every time. But I think that's because you really do care about the sport. Equestrianism is so much at the core, even though you're in Harrods and even though you're global and everything else, ultimately your equestrian market is your core market, isn't it?
It's massive for us, and I think successful business is all about partnerships and relationships and supporting each other, and the events is where I started the business and will always be a massive part of who we are, and I think those relationships are fundamental to the journey of a business, and also reinvesting into those events and supporting them both from a brand perspective and investing into them as well to help their growth as well as ours.
I think often that the events have been a bit slow in really understanding where Holland Cooper's got to on the world market, and I think it's really interesting to understand, and as I've got to know you better and understand just how passionate you are about supporting the event. And I think the events have been a bit slow in really picking up on what Holland Cooper as a brand can do for the event. Certainly the riders aren't, because we've seen some rather fabulous looking riders here, looking rather gorgeous. I'm feeling quite smug in my bespoke Dowdeswell, which was my Aintree Ladies' Day outfit. Yeah, I know, just put that in there. But, all of us, in terms of whether it's broadcasters, riders, what you do is so good because it's exactly what we want to wear. We don't have to sort of go, oh, shit, I've got to, jam myself into that Holland Cooper, oh, God. Because it is exactly what we would choose to wear. It's exactly what we want to wear. For me, as a mother, trying to step up and be a television presenter is a challenge in about a zillion different ways. But being in terms of trying to look right, that is a great thing. And I know for Laura, we've talked about this, haven't we? Trot-up outfits. William, are you going to be Holland Cooper this year?
No pressure, William.
I think there is a danger. We've just been looking at some options. There is a danger.
Inside thought.
I'm not quite sure I'm the right bracket, but anyway, I'm joining it.
No, we're definitely working on the mature market too, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Will's trot-up outfit has become a bit of a stuff of legends, because in 20 European Championship, stunning, Toggy sponsored the team and gave all the riders these really smart tweed jackets, and that has been the jacket of choice pretty much ever since, has it?
Pretty much, yeah.
And
no
in
pressure
fact,
then.
And in fact, we turned up at Cheltenham to go racing, and we'd invited Yogi Breisner to come probably about 15 years after the European Championships of Po, and he walked in the same jacket as Will, because the two of them are so enjoy a freebie that they were still both in the freebie that they'd been given 15 years ago. It was so funny. And they were in matchy-matchy. I'm not sure whether that's lucky or not lucky, or, in terms of trot-up outfits, Laura, it's clear that it is a focus for you, and you're hugely supported by Jade in terms of those outfits. I heard you already talking about your Lamoulan outfit tonight.
Yeah, well, I was a bit jealous of your bespoke Dowdeswell.
Sorry.
Coat.
I've always been a fashion,
guru.
influencer.
Yeah. I'm so lucky that I now don't have to worry about what I'm going to wear at the trot-up, because I'm probably the most unfashionable person around. And then now, thanks to Jade, everyone thinks I'm fashionable, which is great.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've had the same thing. People keep going, God, now you look so smart. Like, what's happened? Well,
Yeah, I say Jade. Jade is what has happened.
I know, I don't know why I spent 15 years struggling with what to wear. And now I seem to have sorted it. So, Will, there's a chance.
Let's hope for
thing
it.
is-
Watch this space.
The thing is that Julian's here, and Superdry is Will's absolute go-to brand. And it's quite a relief for me, because when he's not, I think he sort of grooves you out. Even the kids think, oh my gosh, Dad's looking quite cool in his neon orange Superdry swimming trunks. They're great. Let's get back to badminton, though. We're diverting. We're going off piste here. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So we were talking about, on the way up, we were talking about heroes. And when you look back through, I think badminton sort of goes in decades. When you look at 79 to 89, I'm leaving out you two on this one. 1979 to 1989. For us, Will, you and I were talking about Lucinda Pryor-Palmer, now Lucinda Green, Ian Stark, Mark Phillips, Richard Mead, Ginny Elliott. That was a real golden era for badminton and therefore eventing. It was on the BBC. We had Mike Tucker commentating. It was a really iconic time where those sort of riders would end up on chat shows midweek. Lucinda crossed the boundaries, didn't she, from the sport into the wider society?
Yeah, I think she was a household name. I think people did know who Lucinda Pryor-Palmer was. And I think what she achieved at badminton, I say it often, but it might be wrong, but I think it won't be emulated. I think the modern world is so competitive. I don't think the same rider will be able to win badminton 6 times unless they're going to be 100. And I think that, was a real look up when I was young. And yeah, when I was coming into it, those were all the names to look at. You saw Ian, you saw Ginny, you saw Lucinda, you saw Toddy, and they were all pretty damn good. Yeah. So that was a lot to aim for and a lot to target. I can remember the first time I beat Ian Stark, and I just thought, I completely made it. He didn't win and I didn't win, but I still beat him, and that was all that mattered. So it was just, they were the first lot that were kind of professionalising our sport. And me and Pip and Tina and Polly and Co were the next lot, I guess.
So when you were coming into it, that's the thing. So we're talking about the generation before. Then we got into the golden era of William, Tina, Pippa, Zara, Mary King. I remember when I was riding at badminton and Mary was there with her kids when she won in 2000. Those riders seemed almost untouchable, didn't they, Laura?
Totally untouchable. I remember before I'd even really decided I wanted to go eventing, watching Pippa Funnell win on Primrose Pride and just thinking, wow. And then when she won on Rocky, I thought, that's what I want to be. I want to be Pippa Funnell winning at badminton. And I used to dress like her and try really hard to ride like her, but never quite made it. But yeah, just trying to get onto a senior team seemed impossible because every year it was the same names. And they'd come back with gold medal after gold medal after gold medal. So it just, it was a real challenge, which did seem impossible. But it was a...
And when you did break through and you got that win on London, I just remember reading all the stuff around it. It just oozed out of you the kind of overwhelming sense of that you had achieved the extraordinary and that you'd achieved a lifetime goal, forget Olympics, forget everything else. That win at badminton, to me, just felt so huge for you.
Yeah, there'll never be anything that gets anywhere close to what that felt like. I was so lucky to go to the Olympics the year before, and that seemed totally surreal and unbelievable at the time. And then the following year to win badminton just completely blew it out of the water. Growing up, it's the one, if anyone asked you, if you had to pick between a badminton or an Olympic gold medal, for me, it was always badminton. To win badminton, it seemed completely unachievable, but a challenge that I thought I'd go as many times as possible throughout my life to try and, one day get close. So to have achieved it was like total fulfillment, and just I can't really put into words what it was like. It still doesn't feel real. I still watch it over and over and over again. I'm surprised it's not completely worn out on my TV. But when you're having a bad day or anything like that, it's the one thing that can make you realise, it is worth it. It is worth all the pain and the heartache that goes in with horses. It's a roller coaster. But when you're sat there and you cross the finish line at badminton, that feeling will stay with me for a lifetime.
Wow, God, we loved watching it. It was just, and that partnership with you in London is just so wonderful. Well, for you, you obviously bagged a Burley very early on in your career with Charker. You were just 26 years old when you won Burley. Yep. It took longer. Burley's always been almost your happy place. It took longer for you to win badminton. You've now won it twice. You've been second a further 3 times, third as well. You've completed it, as we've said, 25 times. Can you put into words that first badminton win for you? Did it feel like a monkey off your back? How did it feel on Tamarillo?
Yeah, it was totally, as Laura was saying, kind of changed everything. I think it finally you thought, finally, I've done something. I've actually, I was riding a very good horse like Laura. I was riding a horse called Tamarilo, who was an extraordinary horse, and I can remember in the whole process of having him. I can't win badminton on this horse. I'm going to win it on nothing because anybody can win it on this horse. So finally, it was actually a relief that I thought, I hadn't had a cock-up. He'd pulled it off. He deserved to win, and he did, because he was also the horse I was second on twice to Pippa. So I've been, clawing at it, and I just thought, I can't miss it again. And so the relief of it, I think, was just immense. And the fact that I thought, well, now I've done badminton, I could actually give up. That's fine. Job done now.
And then you changed your mind.
And then I changed my mind.
But he was extraordinary, and those sort of near misses, it's kind of a weird one with badminton. It feels like there's a few that got away with him. There's a few that got away, but there's still that extraordinary win on Chilly Morning, who's the only stallion to have won. And in a way, would you say he had that similar profile to Tam in that he was one of your most extraordinary horses?
Yeah, he was also a very, very good horse, and he should have won badminton. But he was very easily not going to. I mean, he won a lot for me and did a lot for me. He could easily not have won badminton, and it was just amazing that he did actually pull it all off. And he went on from badminton. The next year he went to the Olympics, and that's where we had our cross-country hiccup, and it's like suddenly it's all gone. But at the end of the day, he won badminton. I'm not going to say completely that badminton's better than winning the Olympics, but it was very, very close, and it made living with my Olympic disaster not quite so big. He'd done badminton, so that was all right. It was good that he pulled that off, and he could easily not have done. So again, it was just great that a good horse like that could win a big one. It was a big moment.
So when we look through the roll of honour of great riders at badminton, Mary King, 2 badmintons, Ian Stark, 3, Mark Todd, 4, Lucinda Green, 6. Just thought I ought to remind anyone of that. Ginny Lang, 3 times, Pippa 3 times, William twice, and of course Laura is waiting to get her second one. But you've already got the one in the bag. So let's talk about this year, because is this the first time you've had 2 rides?
Yeah.
So that's a real massive milestone for you to have 2 horses there. And I think a really lovely touch is that aren't you riding them both for the owner breeder?
Yeah, so really exciting. They're 2 very, very overexcited owners. Homebreds to have got to that level is insane, really.
In your system?
I've taken them both on, Bling as a 7-year-old and Hester as a 10-year-old. So they've both done a bit before I'd got them, but they've been in the system for a few years now. So we know them, and just really looking forward to it. And it's quite nice. I'm not sure how long I'd say this, but at the moment it's a bit different to be going to badminton with no pressure, so I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah. So I was going to say, so very different from going with the high-profile London where everybody's like going crazy to 2 really nice horses that are safe, competitive, got a great chance, but you're not going to be clamoured for because it's not about London.
Yeah, they're both a complete unknown quantity. Anything could happen. They're great jumpers, awesome cross-country horses, so I'm really excited about cross-country day. Not so excited about dressage on either of them.
You're third to go on one of them, so I thought that was quite an interesting dynamic for you as well, because I wouldn't imagine you've ever gone that early in the day where you won't get to watch anybody.
Well, I actually was 5th to go my first badminton,
really?
which I thought was the end of the world. I remember having lots of conversations with Yogi about, I was number 13, but it ended up that I was 5th to go, and I just thought the world was going to end. And he said, the year that I won a world championships or went somewhere and won something, I was number 13, and early to go is better. And it actually, as much as we as riders quite like watching, I have found that going early and not being able to be swayed and influenced by what everyone else is doing is sometimes the best option. You've got your plan and you have no option but to stick to it. So actually go out and see what happens.
Will, you were number one once on Macchiato, and actually it was one of the best rides I think I've ever seen you have.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right. Going first, you just got to get on with it. And it was just, he was a good horse, experienced horse. I knew what I wanted to do, and it was just excellent to have no influence. And I wasn't offered any advice from the course walk. So it was sometimes much the easiest way to go out, actually. By the time you sat there and you've watched the telly till 4 o'clock, you're feeling...
Changed your mind 15 million times.
You're feeling sick and you've changed your mind 10 times.
So tell me about the course. Eric Winter, of course, has built the course this year. I know you haven't had a chance to see it. We know that the quarry comes early. Huntsman's Close is number 7, so the lake will be early. William, I'll ask you first, in terms of ways round, what you guys all talk, it's a bit like when at Cheltenham they start talking about the new and the old course, and I kind of literally glaze over. I've done 25 Cheltenham festivals. I still don't really know the difference. Don't tell anyone on my job which is the difference between the old and new course. But it's a bit like this. You guys always say you prefer one way to the other. Do you like this way? Is this way more stamina sapping? Is this harder? What's your feeling?
It's a good question. I don't really know which way I like. I don't think like and badminton is not a word that go together. I mean, it's exhilarating, it's exciting, it's terrifying, but liking is not quite the right word. I think going down to the ditch and away to Fairbanks is a much quicker start to badminton. So you're kind of, by the time you get up to the kind of both staircase area, you've jumped a few jumps and you're in the mix, and you've only been a minute or a minute and a half. Whereas going the other way,
so
going this year, going up to the quarry is a much slower, more cold-blooded beginning. You've got much more time to think about all the cock-ups you're not going to make. So you kind of got. Can
you work on his psychology? I don't think you're not supposed to be galloping along thinking about your cock-ups.
You don't do a lot. You don't do a lot before you get to the lake.
Quarry and Huntsman's, no?
There's not a lot going on there. I mean, yes, there will be questions there, but there's...
I beg to differ.
Okay, what's your take on it?
I've had many times where Huntsman's has gone wrong, but normally it's quite a slower beginning that way.
To be fair, it is definitely a slower start, and you do have more time to think about things until you suddenly get to the lake and think, whoa. But...
Well, is that quite a big pull from the bottom up to the quarry? Does that hill early, or they don't really notice that?
They don't really notice it.
No.
It comes quite, they're fresh and they're going. If anything, you don't want to go too quickly then, because you want to save it for later anyway. But it's a quicker beginning that way. When you go down over the road, round the back, over the road, through that
horrible bit of ground,
bad bit of ground, it's a much slower start.
Okay, so you're neither of you sort of positive or negative about this way. In terms of stamina, or does it feel like a longer way round? Does it sometimes, when I'm walking the course and listening to you experts?
I think this is a harder finish because you have that long home coming up, either through the lake or past the lake, and then you've got that kind of the fiddly, the Beaufort staircase, the Fairbanks bit, the undulations down over the road. So you haven't got as much time. Whereas you're coming down from the quarry, you've got quite a long time of galloping to try to make up on those seconds if you've got the gallop.
It is quite downhill from,
a bit more
from
galloping.
the quarry,
So we've got a quicker beginning and a slower finish this way. Is that?
Yeah.
I think something I thought about much.
It is quite a pull up from the funny bit of ground once you get back down to where they had that funny little house last year. Then all the way back up into the main arena
just
is
at the
quite
end,
a pull right at the end.
Yeah, quite tired over the road again.
So this year we've got 11 nations represented. We've got Harry Mead riding 3 horses for the first time. We've got Tom Jackson as the pathfinder. We've got you early to watch. We've got 5 previous 5-star winners, as in horses, in the field. I wouldn't like to say how many jockeys are previous 5-star winners. That I haven't counted. Forgot to count that bit out. it's an Olympic year, so that slightly changes it. There's people really gunning for Olympic places, but then perhaps there's other horses that aren't there because of the Olympics. Will, what's your summary of the 75th year of badminton?
Yeah, I think every badminton is competitive. It's still, there's plenty of things that could go wrong. I think there will be people that aren't there. There are horses that are being saved, not wanting to go to a 5-star ahead of the Olympics. But there are some horses that need to make their mark and get noticed. You're not taking London, and you're not alone. There'll be a few not there, but then there's quite a few that could be quite smart. I think there's a few winners in the field before you start, so there'll be clawing to catch them up, all of us.
Laura, have you got any strong ideas on the field?
Well, I think also it's quite an exciting year now that Oliver's up for the Rolex Grand Slam, having just won Kentucky and won Burley last year. So that's a whole...
Of course, yeah.
Didn't do that
Absolutely,
in your notes, did you?
I didn't do that in my notes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh man, that hasn't happened for a while, has it?
And he's been in that position before at badminton. So I think it's a really exciting field. I think there's some real standout. There's probably 3 real standout winners, potential winners.
Ros, Oliver,
and Tim Price on Vitali, but
Yeah.
all of which have quite a big question mark over them. Roz's horses can be very spooky, and although he did do Poe, but Poe is a very different type of 5-star to badminton in the respect of stamina, so he's not proven that, and seen the crowds that there are at badminton, so there's that. I think she's pretty much guaranteed to be first phase leader. Tim Price's horse is brilliant in the dressage, brilliant cross country, but as we saw at Burley, he can have quite a few rails. So I know Tim's been trying some different techniques this season, and we joked the other day that he says, I've used all my clear rounds up, so he hasn't had a fence yet this year. But on the last day, he seems to be a bit different. And then Oliver, on Ballamore class, has got one of the most consistent five-star records, but he's lost a badminton win before in the show jumping, and if he's in that phase, in that place going in, he's got a hell of a lot riding on it. So I think it's going to be a very exciting week.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then shopping-wise, we're all heading there for the shops. What has Holland Cooper... Okay, obviously you've got this huge sponsorship in terms of the Vicarage V, but what about the stand? I mean, I don't know, expect you want to even tell us, but in terms of turnover, in terms of number of people, in terms of brand presence, it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, badminton is always really special. It kind of kicks off the new financial year, so we're always trying to put our best foot forward and be bigger and better, although we can't get a bigger stand, which is very annoying. We want to be bigger, but we've reinvested in the look and feel of the stand, so that'll be the first time that's been out and about, which is nice to showcase it in a different way. New collection's going to be there. We've got a wet weather edit. We've got the hot weather edit. What's the weather going to do? We don't know. Last year was a washout. And that's very difficult when it's just liquid mud and driving rain and you're trying to sell cream trench coats. So we're hoping that we're going to have sun without it being too hot. I've done boiling badmintons, wet badmintons, everything in between, but it's always guaranteed to be a good atmosphere. And I think, whatever the weather, people are there, they're excited to be there, and that makes it good for us and good for the riders and good for the atmosphere.
Your team has grown and grown and grown. Do you brief your team before badminton? Do you have a kind of mantra for how you want your customer to feel when they come onto your stand? Is there you're so much, it's so character-led, this brand. It's so much your brand. How do you put that in through your team for a week like badminton?
I think the team will say the same. For me, it's not just a trade stand in a field and, we're selling some stock. This is about creating a moment, a brand moment within a space that will immerse you in the same way that we do in the boutique. And I think my team are really proud to do that and to showcase that in a really professional and luxury and special way, so that you get the same level of service that you would whether you're in the boutique or you're in a marquee at Badminton or Burley. And I think in the end, that's the difference between us and other brands that you know, doing brilliant marketing and it all looks shiny on the surface, but then when you're seeing the physicality of the product and, you know, the team aren't invested enough, they don't understand the product enough, they're not experts, they don't love it, the disconnect and the magic fades away. And I think the challenge of any brand that wants to move the dial is to create a special moment wherever you see the business, whether it's online, whether it's on the phone, whether it's at a trade stand, whether it's in the boutique. And I'm very lucky that I have a team of people that are as passionate as I am, because you can't do it on your own. And they go out and fly the flag, and
I dare them not to be as passionate as you, though, to be honest. I mean,
and I will be there. You know, it's very important. So we try and be the best we possibly can, and deliver the best possible environment that we can do within a field in a marquee.
but that's what's so amazing. Now you've said that, it absolutely makes sense, because Will and I took the kids to Harrods, which was quite a funny experience. It was talk about the country mice head to town. But we went and had a look at the Holland Cooper presence, and literally you walk into Harrods and you're in this, you know, iconic space, and there's Holland Cooper, 15 years in, amazing. And then you walk into Badminton and you walk onto the Holland Cooper stand, and there isn't really, or you walk into your box at Cheltenham, there's so much more than just, as you said, the clothing. I mean, the environment that you create, the space you create, makes the whole experience.
It's all, I always say the 1% is the difference. You know, the smell, the music level, you know, how people look and feel when they step onto the stand, the hanger spacing, the differences, exactly the way the mannequins are.
Where did you learn that? Did it just in you?
I think it's just an obsessive compulsive disorder of, I don't know, everything having to be a certain way. But I do think people, they might not know why it feels good or why it looks good, but it will be all those things coming together. Lighting, you know, when you go into a bathroom, are the hand soaps exactly what you might think? Is there an orchid? Are all the napkins in the straight line? Is there hand towel branded? All of those things make a difference and make you think at that moment, yeah, this is somewhere I want to be, or that's not how I thought it was going to be.
This is nice. This
yeah,
is
and you have to deliver that in every single aspect of what you're trying to do to keep the magic going.
But then you also have to deliver a product that all of us feel like wearing and actually feel quite nice in, which is also a big part of it. So thank you for that, because we certainly all appreciate it, and we really enjoy wearing it. And guys, very best of luck. I think it's going to be a huge week. It doesn't matter what happens. Certainly, I'm sure you've got a big entourage supporting you. Will, we're right at your back. There's a whole gang of us, smalls, bigs, olds, youngs, all there supporting, because it's badminton, and we all want to be part of it, and we feel very privileged to be able to come and support you. So very best of luck. Have a safe and happy week, and I'm sure you'll be on the stand. William, we look forward to seeing the trot up.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. We're not sure that houndstooth, whether... Do you think 6'6" in houndstooth? Do we have a vote? What do we think? Yes. Oh, well. Hang on, you're meant to be my friend. Stop it. Guys, thanks so much. Thank you. And please do come and have a chat. The guys are here if you want, you know, selfies, anything, do come on up. But Holland Cooper, thank you so much. We love these events. We're really looking forward to seeing all of you at Badminton, hopefully. And it's been really nice chatting and looking back over 75 years. And I think this year is not going to let us down. So thanks so much for all your attention.